Hello, I'm Sean and welcome back to RADBMX Builds. I was working around the shop today and I thought, you know what? I got a few 1987 BMX bikes, tons of stuff from about that year. So let's do a video about BMX in 1987. And if you were around then like I was as a teenager, there were different classes of kids that had different classes of BMX bikes or freestyle bikes. And now I kind of have a representation of all of those, starting from the dirt poor, couldn't afford a bike, got your department store Pep Boys bike all the way up to the infamous GT freestyle bike from 1987. So I'm gonna show you 3 different rad in their own way bikes from your childhood and mine, the greatest year ever, 1987. Okay, first bike up, I gotta give some backstory just like I will with all 3 bikes. The very first bike is starting out at the bottom of the price point. This bike sold in 1987 for $99. It was sold in department stores, automotive stores like Pep Boys and other places like that. I had this bike. My bike, a Redline, was stolen from an arcade in Fullerton, California that year. And in return, my parents, actually I believe it was my uncle, I really don't remember, somebody in my immediate family thought it would be okay to replace that Redline with this. I'm sure it was. I didn't have to pay for it, but did I like it? Absolutely not. Was it embarrassing? 100%. But this bike today, some of you are still gonna think it sucks, but I really like it. It's nostalgic. It's a part of our history. When I found it on eBay, I bought it. I just cleaned it up today after owning it for 3 years. It literally had all the original dirt still on it. Took about an hour, cleaned it up, and I can't believe what excellent shape this bike is in. This bike is 100% OG. Nothing has been swapped out on it. Only thing I did was clean it up and put some air in the tires. Let's check out no other than the original 1987 Huffy Sigma. Okay, this bike in those iconic battleship gray colors with the pink and green, seafoam green, whatever it is, with the 4419 logo. I really don't know what that means, but this Huffy Sigma, made in Dayton, Ohio, sold all across the US, probably by the thousands. I've seen these bikes for $2,000 on eBay. That blows my mind for a $99 bike. I would never pay that much for one, honestly. If you want to, if it means that much to you, sure, go ahead. But I probably will sell this at some point, and I promise you, use this video as evidence, I will not be selling it for that much money. But this bike, as you can see, is in amazing condition, and all the stickers are intact. The only thing missing, if you caught it, was the chain guard. That's okay, I took mine off back then, and back then when I had one, I probably peeled all the stickers off because I didn't want my friends knowing I was riding a Huffy. I actually really ate it on this bike. I went to do a bunny hop over a parking block and the handlebars came right out. Stem, bars, everything lifted right out of the head tube, and I crashed really bad. So, do I love this bike? No. But it has a special place in my history, so it has a place in my collection. I hope you like the Huffy Sigma. Let's grab the next bike from 1987. Quite a notch up on the tier of bikes, and this is another race bike. I'm not gonna count the Huffy as a race bike. This is a race bike where that's just a kid's bike. to rip around in the neighborhood with those discs, making all of that noise and all of that. So anyway, let's grab the next bike and show you what that one is. Okay, this next 1987 bike out of the collection is a race bike. It has a very famous name and everybody really wanted this brand. Some people would say the rich kids had it, but I don't think that's necessarily true. Those are people that just didn't have parents that would buy this bike. They really weren't that much money in comparison to a lot of other bikes out there. So this bike, I've seen quite a few of them growing up, and when I came across this one, even though it doesn't have a lot of the original parts, I still wanted it in the collection. I had big plans for this bike. This is almost how I got it when I bought it, but this bike is the 1987 Hutch Pro Racer. It's not all original except for the paint, the decals, and then a few of the parts like the bars, forks, frame, that's all original, seat post clamps, so on and so forth. But a lot of stuff's been swapped out, so keep that in mind. This is one of the coolest race bikes of 1987, the Hutch Pro Racer. Okay, as you can see, that's a pretty rad looking bike. I never had one of these growing up, but since I've opened RADBMX Builds, I've had about 5 different Hutches, and I really like them. I really enjoy them, especially the loop tail. You all know I'm a sucker for a loop tail. But this bike's really cool. I actually really like the blue and white. That's a great color combination. It's a really solid bike. I do have plans for it, and that'll be in an upcoming video, so I don't want to spoil it here. Comment down below if you had a Hutch. I want to know if you were one of those rich kids, or if you were just lucky enough to have one. If you did you race it? I would have for sure. Okay, that is the 1987 Hutch Pro Racer. Up next, we've got a freestyle bike. So I'm going to show you one of the kings of the skate parks bikes, a really rad one. If I didn't give away too much, let's check out the next bike. All right, this next bike's very special. If you had one of these, you were absolutely killing it in 1987. This bike has been in movies like Rad and all kinds of other really cool movies. Everybody seems to want them nowadays. Everybody wants one, and people are charging an arm and a leg if you want to buy one. But I'm not selling this. I just want to share it with you and show you what I wished I'd had in 1987 for a freestyle bike. This is no other than the 1987 GT Performer. A little backstory about this one. When I bought it, it was 100% OG, but it was in pretty rough shape. So I did a restoration on it. It is chrome, which is pretty rare. Usually you'll find painted bikes. So to find a chrome one was pretty rare, and I wanted to do a full restoration and show my good friend Eddie Fiola what I did with this bike, and he was cool enough to sign it. So this is a 1987 GT Performer signed by no other than the king of skate parks himself, Eddie Fiola. Okay, and as you can see with that one, it's had a full restoration done and some parts swapped out. So things that aren't original to that bike are the grips, the wheels, the tires, the pedals. those have all been replaced because like I said before, it was in rough shape when I got it, but this is where it's at now, and I'm real happy with the way it turned out. It's honestly probably gonna stay in my collection for quite some time until I just feel like I have to part with it. But for now, it stays here. I hope you liked that, the 1987 Eddie Phil-Assigned GT Performer. These were 3 of the bikes that I looked around in the shop and thought, it's really rad that I got some 1987 bikes, one at the lower tier, the Hutch, probably one of the top race bikes, and then the GT Performer, one of the top end freestyle bikes. I also have bikes from 1988 in here, and maybe we'll do that in a future video. Comment down below if that's something you'd like to see, from race bikes to freestyle bikes. I just wanted to share this with you. And if you like this type of content, make sure you give us a subscribe. Just hit that button, give us a thumbs up, and make sure you leave a comment. If you're looking for merch, radbmxbuilds.com/merch. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for enjoying the bikes. And as always, stay rad.